Hello, bridge builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at eatlunchandboardgame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast, or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game, the first course today. And thank you for supporting the show. I am very active with the public library system here in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. I have taken courses through them online. I have taken the kids to events. Heck, I even took the kids to every single St. Louis public library branch in the system. That was 15 branches spanning the entire city. And let me tell you, some of those buildings were absolutely stunning buildings to walk into. During the pandemic, I used the library to print off many print and play games that I downloaded. When the restrictions lifted, I found out that the public library system offered even more services. They had a recording room where you can show up and record your own podcast or your own band. They had 3D printers, full-size plotters, and now, at one location, a glow forge. Anyway, I saw that there was going to be a presentation on making board games. So, I signed up and went. There I met Ana Gomez. She is the Creative Experience Specialist and, of course, a board gamer. She encouraged me to do a presentation at the library on board game production. I then, in turn, encouraged her to be a guest on my show. She joins me in this episode to talk about her gaming habits and how you could utilize your local library to feed your board gaming addiction. Thanks for listening. Alright, welcome back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and with me today is Ana Gomez. She is the specialist for the creative experience at the St. Louis Public Library, where we are recording this episode in one of the sound recording booths, which I will put a picture of in the show notes. So Ana, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. So I ran across, you were doing a thing on making a board game at the library.
Yeah, so occasionally we do a program series where we're showing how you can use the services in our space to be able to use it for small business applications, but also to be able to use it for creativity. So in that program series, we were encouraging customers to develop an idea for a board game, but also to design the look of the board game, the look of the pieces, and then use our 3D modeling software, 3D printers, large format printing, laser cutters, full Adobe suite to be able to create.
That's amazing. I took my son and we developed a little Monopoly on the fly of board games, ones that were obviously less important or less valuable, we'll say, down at the by the go all the way up and around. And then we printed it on vinyl, which was something that was interesting, something that the library had right there. And so also, like you said, the 3D modeling, so you could go on to anything like Thingiverse and find whatever you want to use for a pawn or any kind of tokens or pieces, and then just send it right to the 3D printer across the room.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when people come in, they're like, so you can just print this? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and it's free? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I walked by the 3D printers here at the library to get to here, and there's a giant green mermaid on one of the 3D printers. And I'm like, woo, that is big.
We'll get a lot of kids, especially that will come in and they'll be like, as big as I can get it. They don't care what it is. We print giant Sonic the Hedgehog and chess pieces. We had like a giant little horse chess piece. Someone just wanted it big.
Obviously. Yeah. Go big or go
Why
home. But through talking with you, we also found out that you are also a board gamer, obviously. Otherwise, why would you be pushing all this board game stuff? So how did you get into gaming?
It's something that just, in my family, we're very competitive. We like to win. We like to play. So I did like sports in high school, middle school, softball, varsity tennis, love all of that. So I just love games in general, but especially board games. It's like, it's like old Hasbro commercials where they're like, gather around after dinner and, play Monopoly. That was actually my family.
That's awesome. Oh, man. But yeah, that's great that you played games in high school and everything. I was a high school athlete as well, but got to keep the competitive streak going. And I think board games is kind of a safer way to do it at my age.
I don't know if in my family that's a safe way. We had a lot of torn Monopoly dollars in my family.
Give me that. You owe me the money.
I was always that like, ooh, I see you coming around that corner.
Yeah, better get that hotel down on the greens. Yep. You're coming around that go to jail space, having to land on Pennsylvania. So what is your current favorite game? What game is out on your table?
Oh, and I guess this is in that like weird, is a board game, also a party game kind of thing, but Chameleon, and it's one of those games where you're like trying to fake out another person, and the rules of it are super, super simple, but you get like a little card, and it'll tell you, are you the chameleon or are you not the chameleon? And so you'll get like a larger card that has all these different categories on it. And everyone else has a card with like a grid system that's like, if you roll this die versus this die, then this is the like square you need to be looking on. And so the chameleon has to figure out through context clues what the category is. Some people are very good at it. I'm mediocre. If I go last, I'm pretty good. If I have to go first, shot in the dark, right? You're like, are we talking about countries? Are we talking about country songs? Like, what are we doing here? But it's just a lot of fun to see, like, how good of liars are your friends?
Oh, well, yeah. If you like that, you got to play Coup. That's another good way to lie to your friends, family, anybody else. You can sucker into playing a game of Coup. Yeah. That's hilarious. Isn't Chameleon the one with that really weird box, too, where, like, you can't quite read it?
Yeah, it's kind of like an optical illusion.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So working here at the library, do you play a lot of games with your coworkers?
We usually play them more often with the kids that come in here than with each other, but... Right, all the same. Over at Central, they found this like 80s version, not brand new, but like mint condition, 80s version of Trivial Pursuit.
Oh my God.
Which was so cool to see. It was in such great condition. The kids understand none of the pop culture references. But
that's all in history books now. It's not pop culture anymore. Yeah. That's hilarious. Oh. So if you did play games with your coworkers, what would be your go-to 60-minute game?
Ooh. For 60 minutes, 60 minutes is also like, there's a game that's 60 minutes if you follow the rules, like, but then they call it like house rules. So like Uno in my family could take an hour.
Oof. That's a long game of Uno.
Rules. We do like a massive deck. And so we like combine two decks and we're like, we're going to be in this, playing it. We actually have played Uno. We do like a holiday party here at the library, just like in our department. And we've played Uno, and that gets very competitive. That's like rounds. We're like, okay, you're tagged in now. Who's getting in? But I would also probably, if we had it, maybe I'll bring it in and make my coworkers play with me. But Labyrinth. I don't know if you ever played Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That I can get really competitive about.
It can. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that one in a while. So what about a 30-minute game, a half hour?
Maybe something like Code Names. Have you ever done Code Names?
That's a good one.
Yeah, that can be a really quick one too.
And that's also very frustrating because you're like, I said gold. And they look at you like, I don't know what gold means.
Yeah, and in your head, you're like, this is a perfect connection. Who wouldn't get this?
I said gold and 3. And they just stare at you like, And it's like, oh, man.
And now this is a 60-minute game.
Yeah. And that's a good one because people can kind of flow in, flow out of that one. We played that at my last office because you could have people play for 20 minutes and leave and somebody else show up. It's really all about the person giving the clues. So how about a hidden gem, a game that you don't think gets enough credit?
Or this might be like a controversial opinion. Okay.
I can't wait.
I truly feel like the game of life does not give enough credit. People hate it. People hate the game of life. Everyone I know hates the game of life. And it has been my favorite game to play like as a kid. And because I just feel like I was so good at it. Like I just could make like strategic choices, and people tell you, they're like, well, it's not really a strategic game. But I feel like it is just so classic, and everyone just looks so far down on the game of life, and I think they need to give it another shot.
I think what gives it that childhood memory is that table presence, right? Like the 3D terrain and the roads and everything. Not to mention the spinner.
Oh, 100%.
You're always trying to figure out how hard can you spin it before it comes off and becomes a flying saucer.
Yeah. Or just doesn't spin at all, right? Like you press too hard and you're like, guess I get one. Like this is not going anywhere. Mousetrap is like that too. Like it's more fun to put together.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I probably actually played Mousetrap like once. Otherwise, you're just putting it together.
Oh, yeah.
You're just putting it together.
Or even like, what is it, Plinko? Where you have like all the sticks and then the marbles and you're trying to... Yeah, you're really just shoving sticks in there is really what's happening.
It's more of a toy than a game at that point. But yeah, Mousetrap, yeah. And then they had the other one, Grape Escape.
Oh, I don't know. I think I know that one.
It was the same designer. And you are grapes trying to make it out without getting squashed into jam. Okay. And there's this whole Rube Goldberg contraption in the middle, and you're bouncing in and out. And if you roll the crank, then all the little Play-Doh grapes get smashed, or they get cut, or squashed, or cut with some scissors.
Oh my gosh, a little brutal, right?
It was one of those good old Play-Doh games. Yeah. Oh man, that was one of my kids' favorite games. You can't find it for cheap. I tried to get a copy to have out here for my kids, and I got on eBay, and I'm like, nope, that'll be one at Grandma and Grandpa's house.
Yeah. Expensive or just can't find it?
Expensive.
Yeah, there's a like limited edition version of, I want to say it's Monopoly. Yeah, it was like a Looney Tunes Monopoly, and I love the Looney Tunes. And they have it at ITAP in Soulard. And every day I go in there, I am just trying to dig deep into my morals and not just run out the door with their game. Because it is so cool. Most of the time, those like limited edition, special money grab Monopolies don't really impress me, right? You're like, this is just Monopoly. But they made it so like classically Looney Tunes that I just love it. And it's like a quintessential 90s kind of thing as well. I think it came out maybe in support of the original Space Jam. Oh. And the pieces are like really nice quality. Like they're like really good sheet metal. And it has like a trophy.
Really high quality pewter.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. Is this coated?
Ooh.
But it has like a little trophy that you win at the end.
Oh,
which
dang.
The regular Monopoly doesn't have, and they're missing out. I would love a little trophy at the end. But every time I look at it, I'm just like, I want this. And I looked it up, and it is minimum like hundreds of dollars, which is
not worth it.
For Monopoly? No.
No. Keep your eye out, though. You never know. It might accidentally fall somewhere for cheap. It's funny you say trophy. At the office, we have the traveling trophy for who wins at lunch. And so once I introduced the trophy, more people came to play because they wanted to win that trophy.
It is such an incentive.
It is like it's a 3D printed trophy. Yeah. Which, by the way, check with your local library. Yeah. You might probably be able to 3D print it for free there.
100%. Yeah.
So that
Big as you can get it.
Yeah. Is there any other way to print it? I think I printed mine at 1.5, so it's 50% larger. But I could. Now you're making me want to go back and be like, "Hey, Anna, see how big you can fit this on
NASCAR size, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get done. You gotta drink a thing of milk and you get your trophy. Little wreath around the neck. So when you play a game, do you have a specific color that you like to be?
Always, I have to be blue. Blue is a winning color.
It's a winning color.
It's a winning color. That's my philosophy, and I'm like fairly good at board games, so I feel like I'm backing it up.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say I like red. I don't win a whole lot.
Oh, see?
I play a lot.
Yeah.
I don't win a whole lot. But, so how do you pronounce Klaus Teuber's The Settlers of...
Catan.
There we go. All right.
I will say that I was a Catan for a long time because I actually didn't know anyone who played it till my current boyfriend. So my boyfriend, it's like his favorite game. We play it all the time, and first time I'd ever played it. So I first time played it at 25. So for many, many years, I was just like, oh, Settlers of Catan. And he was like, no. Eyes got big as plates. He was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
But that has blue in it, so you're good.
I don't win a lot, but.
Yeah. What color does your boyfriend use?
He always does, is it a yellowy, brown color?
Well, there's a white, orange, and
red.
Maybe
it's orange, I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, actually, depends how old his copy is, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's old enough that says Settlers.
Ooh.
So maybe it is a yellow kind of color. Or it could just be worn, and that's why I'm thinking. I'm like, what shade? What do we call that?
One of my friends, he's like, hey, if you're orange, you're short a road, the dog ate one. I'm like, man, just go to Home Depot and get a piece of balsa wood and saw it down into the road.
Or you come to the library and use the laser cutter.
Okay, so we don't have one at Central.
We don't. They require venting out the window, and that's why we just can't have it at Central.
Just vent it into the kids' room.
All those good plastic fumes for the children. Their blood's mostly microplastics, right, at this point. What's a little more? Can it hurt them at this point?
No, I do. I love the creative experience. I love what St. Louis Public Libraries is doing. Where we are right now, we're using Audacity, which is probably the lowest, cheapest, free. It's hard to beat free. Lowest, cheapest program on this computer, and they have all the rest of them here. Just in if I ever learn how to use anything other than Audacity, I might give it a shot. But man, I'm telling you, what all's on here? The full Adobe suite is on this thing.
Yeah.
So, and then I talked to you before. A lot of times, people come in here and record music.
Oh, it's probably the most popular for music. You would think podcasts because those are really, really hot, but music all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool that they have that. I mean, there's a interface up here. You can do additional microphones, drums. Well, there's a little drum set over there. Yeah. Guitars. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. And the cost on this again is
$0. Free. Yeah, it can come every day. We do have people who do, for sure.
That's crazy. Yeah, I need to either, I need you to teach me how to use other programs in Audacity. But, then if I can get organized, which is probably not going to happen. But if I could get organized, I could come down here and record my podcast every week.
Yeah, and do it for free.
It doesn't cost me anything to do it in the attic.
Well, yeah, you've already bought your equipment. But whenever someone's like, well, I've been thinking about it, get a setup, I'm like, Why?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they got Blue Yeti microphones. There's the Focusrite interface. And then, like I said, you got every imaginable, at least the ones I know of, programs available for recording, editing. You got the Photoshop and all of Adobe. So there's all those different programs that you read about. And when Adobe went to a monthly subscription, I was like, no.
Oh, it breaks the bank for sure. Is
Yeah.
it like $50 a month? Or I think that's what we pay, and that might be like an educator discount. But we actually don't get so we get an educator discount in that sense, but we pay $50 a month for every single computer that it's on. There's no like bulk discount, unfortunately.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Might as well squeeze the money out of the
Out of the public
library.
But it's worth it because it's getting used constantly, and that's that kind
Yeah.
of like that cost risk kind of analysis.
Yeah.
Of like, well, everyone's using it. That's what
Well,
it's
yeah.
there for.
And then, like we talked before recording, like you were doing a series on how to use the different programs. So once those come back up, I will be signing up and learning how to use some of these other programs so that I can, well, let's be honest, I'm not going to pay $50 a month for Adobe, but if I learn how to use it, I mean, be a little more tempted.
And that's like with anything, right? You know, you like learn how to ride a bike, and you're like, okay, well now I need a really good bike.
Yeah, I have a decent bike. You wouldn't tell by how out of shape I am, but actually it's getting fixed, so I can try riding again. But yeah, you're right. You learn how to use something, you're like, well, now I want the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So let's talk about Kickstarter. Do you ever get involved with Kickstarter?
I love Kickstarter.
Yes.
I think it is, to me, someone just buying your work or supporting your work, that's always great and always appreciated, right?
Sure.
Someone going out of their way and being like, I love this so much that I will pay for it even though it doesn't exist yet. That is a way bigger kind of like feeling of like faith from someone, right?
Yeah.
Being like, I'm going to support this because I want this to exist so badly, and I want other people to make it exist so badly. So I feel like it's just, there's like a musician who, I'm blanking on the pronunciation of her name, and it's beautiful and it's Israeli and I don't want to mispronounce it. But I've been like supporting the Kickstarter for her album because she's like, I can't make this album without this financial support. And I'm like, you have to keep making music, so I will have to keep paying you to, in the future, make music.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, you are putting a lot of faith and belief in this person to finish what you have paid them to do. And I believe, well, I know, I backed 202 games, or, well, I think they're all games, on Kickstarter, and I've only had 2 not fulfill. One, the whole company decided to fold. And it was really sad. I mean, it was their 6th game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Kind of in it, right?
Yeah. So you didn't really think going in that this was going to be a risk, you know? And they had a special container, so if you bought it, that it would hold all 6 of the games in this one container. I won't say what it is because it's obvious if I say it. But it was cool, and I'm like, yeah, I backed at that level and everything, and now they just went out of business and said, sorry.
I think that's like one of the, it's like the checkbox where it's like, you'll
Yes.
donate, or essentially a donation, but it's like, you'll support this even if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. If it reaches its pledge goal, you're out the money whether you get it or not. Yeah. And then I had another one that was a print and play, which is really disappointing because the guy had the quote unquote light version, and we have that, and we played it, and it's a racing game. And so my son and I were like, yeah, this is great. We need the other tracks, the other rules, the other teams, blah, 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 blah. And the guy has gone radio silent since September of 2022. And it's like, dude, you're not out any money to finish an email.
Exactly.
Like, print and plays are ridiculous, right? They're ludicrous if you think about it. this guy, or some guys, you see these print plays go for like $10,000. I'm like, that guy just got paid $10,000 to send an email.
Yeah.
Or put it on a Google Drive and post the link. Here it is on my Dropbox, And like this guy, that's what he stumbled on. And he posted all these updates showing all these new tracks and new cars and new teams with different abilities. And then it just kind of into the void.
I appreciate ones that give constant updates. Like one that I've recently donated to, or kind of like put funding behind, is Axolotl. I don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's really cute. It's really cute. It's really fun. It seems like a game that I feel like could play with like niece and nephew, bring it here to the library. And I get emails constantly from them.
There's a good balance. I know we don't communicate enough with our backers, but a lot of times, I hate to get like an update every week. I don't need you to tell me what you had for breakfast. Let me know what's going on the game. Which reminds me, our games have cleared customs. We're just waiting on it to make the long journey from Chicago. So we're so close. But also, we'll talk about that. The St. Louis library system, the city and the county, now that they're joined together, you can also rent board games from the library. And that is awesome. What I really wish is that they had like an unlimited budget and could buy all the games.
Every game, yeah.
Then I'd be like, maybe I don't have to buy everything.
Hey. That's how it is with the books, right?
Yeah.
You're like... Yeah. Every time, I as a library employee, I'm like, oh, I should buy that new book. And I'm like, wait. Wait. Go upstairs to CMS and see if it's in yet. That's actually what you should do.
Now, there is a pretty decent board game book library library of books here because I keep requesting them. So definitely look into that. You can sometimes get on your library website and suggest a purchase. And I always get these emails, Mr. Collins, your suggested purchase is in.
I'll let you in on a secret. If it exists, they'll probably buy it. The only time they've ever told me no was when they literally just couldn't buy it. So it was like a format I wanted it in. That didn't exist. And so they were like, sorry. Every other time, they'll always get it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to use the library. I mean, shoot, I've been using the county. I don't want to offend you or anything. I've been using the county because they had subscriptions to like Linda Learning, which is now LinkedIn Learning, and you could just log in as your library and go take all these courses for free on random stuff. Yeah. So always look at your library. You have no idea what all it can do. It can do incredible things for you, other than just send you emails that your library book's overdue. Which reminds me, kids, we got to get ours together. We have a few that I've got the super overdue notice for.
Luckily, you owe nothing once you bring it back.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to tell people, I'm like, just bring it back.
Yeah.
You don't owe any money after. You know, your kneecaps aren't going to get broken if you don't bring if you bring the book back. You're good to go. All is forgiven.
And it's great because you can take back any library book to any library here in the St. Louis area, county, city. It doesn't matter. Check it out at one, turn it back into another. They don't care. They just want the book back.
They just want it back. That is what I always tell people. I'm like, they're like, why this book from like 2008? I'm like, they want it back. They want it back.
The last time I paid, because my son lost a book, I paid for it. We get home and he comes downstairs and he's like, hey, Dad, I found it. You couldn't have found it like a half hour ago, buddy? So we went back up, turned it back in, got the money back. But it was like, seriously, man? Like,
but they want it back, right? So they're like, yeah, we don't want your money because now we have to order it again. And now we got to wait and we have to reprocess it and assign numbers to it and everything. And they'll just bring us the book back.
Yeah.
Bring the book back.
Just get it
bring the
back
book
over
back.
here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. And then talking to you, a lot of the St. Louis area libraries are starting to have game nights, board game nights, and weekends. And Man, I can't tell you guys enough. Just check in with your library. You have no idea what kind of crazy stuff may be out there for you.
Or what you could even bring to your library. So really every public library that I at least know of, or that I've worked for before, they take program suggestions. And you've done a program with us and, presented, here's what I want to just teach to this group, want to present to them. And most of the time libraries are open to that. So if you're like, well, my library doesn't do a game night yet.
Yes. Tell them you want to do it, especially if you have a whole library of games in your house. Just take some, start working on it. That's basically what we're going to do down at Booter next weekend. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm teaching a game, and now they've laid out the next 3 or 4 months, and every month they have a game that's being taught, and then, obviously bring any game you want to play and go for it.
Yeah, no, Central will be doing, forget which day of the week it is. I think it's on maybe Wednesdays or Thursdays, but all through the fall, they're going to be doing just huge game nights. So we're going to have virtual reality, we're going to have board games, card games, chess, everything.
That's awesome. Virtual reality.
Yeah.
I don't know about that for me, but my kids will find it great.
Oh, and kids are always so good at it, too.
Oh, yeah.
You'll put a kid in it for the first time, and they're just like, ching, ching, just killing it. I'm like, have you ever played this before? And they're like, no, but I'm 7. So
no, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
I'm over in the corner being like, I don't even know how this thing goes on my face, and they're over there destroying stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, whenever I get my phone too jacked up, I give it to my son. He'll fix it for me.
All the time my mom's like, why is this running so slow? And I'm like, give it to Akio, my nephew. I'm like, he's like, Grandma, you didn't do this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Grandma. What do you mean you didn't do this? Jeez, we all know to do that. That's great. So the biggest thing I can tell you guys, get in touch with your library, figure out what you want them to do, send them an email. There's always some kind of contact us email. Most library websites I've been on. Yep. So reach out. That's how I met Anna in the first place. And that's why she's on the show. We've been discussing board games and doing events at the library. So if anybody want to reach out to you, Anna, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can do just our general creative experience line. So that would be CEXP@SLPL.org. But you can also reach me directly at A Gomez, so A like Apple, GOMEZ, @SLPL.org.
Excellent. And as always, you can reach out to me at eatlunchandboardgame.com, facebook.com/eatlunchandboardgame, or email me at eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com. And remember, board games build bridges. Are you tired of your same old lunch hour of sitting and scrolling through your apps on your smartphone? Have you thought about playing a board game with your coworkers? Eat Lunch and Board Game is a podcast dedicated to telling you about board games that are great for lunchtime fun and some that are probably better saved for after work hours. I've been playing games at my office for over 4 years now, where I have made new friends and business connections that have been very useful. Board games build bridges. When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.